I think there might be a little bit of disagreement here on the first player that I'm taking a stand against, and that is Michael Thomas. And what it comes down to for me, it's twofold. One, the most recent report on Michael Thomas was not good. It's that he's still not ready. And I mean, God, it's just been so long since we've seen Michael Thomas. He missed all of last season, he missed half of 2020, and the glory days, in my opinion, are just over. You know, not even getting into the way that he feels about the team and the way the team feels about him. Just from a volume perspective, Michael Thomas needs elite volume, I think, to sustain. He's not going to be a guy who is catching, 15 plus touchdowns. He's not going to be a guy who is putting up, monster yardage games. He's a guy who needs to feast off of volume. And they traded up for Olave. They brought in Jarvis Landry. Say what you want about Jarvis Landry, but everywhere he goes, he commands targets. The thought these days is that commanding targets in itself is a skill, and I think Jarvis Landry has that skill. Michael Thomas is never going to see another season in his life where he gets 185 targets like he did in 2019 when he was shredding the league and was the fantasy football wide receiver one. Those days are over. I just don't see it. I think that he is just one of three good wide receivers in that offense. Is he the wide receiver one? Maybe. But he has no chemistry to speak of with Jameis Winston, and he's not practicing with the team right now. Who knows? I just can't trust a guy at age 29 who's barely played over the last two seasons, coming into the most crowded situation that he's ever been in with no standing, chemistry with the current quarterback. I don't know. I don't like Michael Thomas, current ADP 64, wide receiver 31. I'm not buying at that price.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind Michael Thomas personally. I don't think he's like an absolute fade or an absolute buy by any means. Just because he is a wide receiver 3 at this point in fantasy, and he's going around players like Darnell Mooney, Elijah Moore, Drake London, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I think if healthy and if he plays the full season, like, he's outscoring all of those guys, even with the added target competition, just because Michael Thomas is, in my opinion, still one of the best wide receivers in the league, and he does command targets as well at an extremely high rate. You mentioned it with Jarvis Landry. I think Michael Thomas is a better target commander, and as long as he's out there, he's going to see volume. Yeah, it might not result in 185 targets, but we've seen Jameis give multiple pass catchers top 5, top 6 seasons in the same year, in Chris Godwin and Mike Evans. And Chris Olave and Jarvis Landry aren't as good as Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, right? So I think that at his current cost, I don't mind him. I'm not going to be like too overweight the field just because this dude's a straight diva and really just can't predict if he's going to play. I think he is. And who knows? Maybe he doesn't even play for New Orleans. Maybe they, surprisingly trade him or something. Because that could be part of it. But there is a lot of unpredictability. But I think the upside with Michael Thomas is just so high because he is a very talented wide receiver, and he does command targets, and he does score touchdowns when he's out there. And if he can have a great season with a withered Drew Brees, I think getting Jameis Winston as his starter is an upgrade. So
It is. I mean, you and I have talked about this, and our belief is that the Saints are going to lean more pass heavy. I feel like that's what their moves this offseason have indicated, but we don't know that. We don't know what kind of offense this is going to be under a new head coach and Dennis Allen. It's the first time Sean Payton hasn't been there in God knows how many years. And I just don't know if they're going to be slinging it the way that, Jameis Winston was under Bruce Arians, who, like, that's what he does. So, like, I just don't know. It's an assumption. And it's just a wild assumption for me to, like, think that Michael Thomas comes back after a year and a half of not playing, of not practicing, and just is, like, ready to go as this locked-in wide receiver one for an NFL team. And I don't know if the Saints think that either. Like, they obviously gave up a lot of capital to go get Olave. So it remains to be seen to me how this is going to shake up. But just from a value perspective, Chris Olave going 32 picks later in ADP says all that, I need to hear in terms of which Saints wide receiver I'm buying at cost.